Before I got diagnosed with the cancer, I was having a great success with my music. I was producing music for a lot of artists that I would see on TV. And then when my body started to like fail and break down because of the cancer, I was like, really crushed and really negative and kind of like, when we get a cut, like millions of cells rush to this place with the right minerals. And, when we're eating the right foods, we're getting the right sleep, our body can start to heal itself. So what's happening on that level is not necessarily that the music healing you, but it's putting you in a state where you can actually heal yourself.
It's a nice coincidence that the word harmony is also a musical term, describes the healing state of your body when everything's in harmony.
That's a feeling of harmony that I think is connected to that collaborative feeling we talk about. Everybody has a unique part that only you have, but then when it's all played together, it's amazing, and we all can appreciate that sound and that experience.
If you're enjoying the Huddle, you're going to love being in the room with us at Dragonfly Summit. It's happening the September 27th and 28th in Bangkok, and because you're part of our community, you can get 700 baht off with the code DFHuddle. Links are below. Now back to the episode. Well, today we're not just huddling with the two of us. We have one of our favorite artists, a good friend. And since the first day that we met him, we're like, you know what? This guy, we've seen him in so many lives. Let me say that. It's like, I feel like we're so connected. What were your thoughts the first time that you connected with Maejor?
It wasn't a thought, it was a feeling.
Ah,
I was just very intrigued because there he is. Oh, like, what's this about? I didn't have much expectations. I mean, I wasn't going in with any kind of preconceived notions. I was just like, all right, what's up? And then as soon as he started, just like literally the first sentence, what struck me first was how soothing your voice is, and then immediately I felt like I'm here to hear what you have to say, and just the stories that you shared, the gentle nature that you led us through your session. I was like, okay, we need to plan our summit this year. The feeling was mutual I think we looked at each other, we're like,
I grabbed your hand.
yes.
And I was like, oh, I can feel it. And I cried.
Oh yeah, yeah.
right after when we connected, I just knew that it was just the beginning of our journey. So it's exciting to be here again from that moment. But I love what you said about today, that you were able to be there and just to be present. And that's what, a lot of kind of what the messages stuff we get is always about, like, how can we be more present, be more here?
Yeah.
And it's almost amazing to hear that came through at the session, and excited to share more.
You could call him an artist, a musician, podcaster, an influencer, a sound healer. You can call him anything you want. I am going to call him my guide because ever since I met him and followed his work, he guides me to understand more about frequencies. A conversation that I haven't had in so many years. Looking back, maybe in high school, I know the word vibe. Oh, you have good vibes. Oh, I have vibes.
Yeah.
Those are the words that I grew up with, right? But now it's like, okay, what's energy? What's vibration? So in this episode of the Huddle, Maejor, who's coming us from Los Angeles right now, we're going to be sharing a lot about how frequency can heal, frequency can change. And let me begin with his story, because the minute that I searched online and discovered about how you were able to go through that whole journey of being able to see the cancer slowly subside or just become more tame with sounds, that really blew me away. Yes, sound does heal. So can you share with us a bit more about that journey for you?
There's like that, there's a yin and yang of every part of the experience. So before I got diagnosed with the cancer, I was having a great success with my music. I was producing music for a lot of artists that I would see on TV and looked up to, and I had a lot of momentum in a positive direction. And then when my body started to like fail and break down because of the cancer, I was like, really crushed and really negative and kind of like, just, it wasn't a positive thing to go through, but it introduced me to people sharing with me different types of healing modalities from different alternative methods, things I had never heard of, like frequency, things from the East, things from the West, things from, science, spirituality, all different types of wellness started to share with me. And without having that experience, I would have never been introduced to that. So it's kind of like actually, ends up being one of the best things, because now I can connect, even with people like you all, and to be able to be here because of going through those experiences, which we all kind of can connect with in a human way. So yeah, it was a crazy thing going through it, but now it's like actually one of the best things.
I'm curious. We've heard your story. We have another friend of ours who went through a similar, it wasn't cancer, but he went through a traumatic brain injury and he healed himself not through sound, but through meditation. Very, very rigorous, consistent meditation practice when modern medicine was failing him. What's happening on a cellular level? It sounds amazing and incredible, and for many people, perhaps a little bit too good to be true. In layman's terms, for those of us who are still just starting out in terms of like the healing
Absolutely.
journey, what do you
Absolutely.
think is happening on the physical level in your
I
body?
love that. I love that you put it like that because, as you mentioned, your friend who does the meditation, the music is a tool that can help us to put us in a great state of homeostasis, of a balance, of taking away us from that fight or flight state that a lot of us are in. And in that place, we can start to heal ourselves. We return to our natural state, which is healed, which is already connect. When we get a cut, like millions of cells rush to this place with the right minerals. And when we're eating the right foods, we're getting the right sleep, our body can start to heal itself and even avoid a lot of things that we go through. So what's happening on that level is not necessarily that the music healing you, but it's putting you in a state where you can actually heal yourself. And I think that that's the same thing that happens with modalities like meditation. They say stress is one of the biggest killers right now. Probably the biggest killer. If you're stressed out all the time, it's going to have a huge negative toll on your health. And I have a friend who's a doctor, and he won't say it publicly, but he'll say it's to me that some people, because of the programming of how they believe, they see him in a doctor's coat and with his degree, and he says you'll be okay. And he says that's when their healing start. But he doesn't want to be kind of looked at as a quack doctor and these kind of things. And that was kind of what you said also applied to me when I first got introduced to this. To say, it seems a little bit woo-woo and kind of out there and far out. But one of the things that helped me to see it more scientifically was binaural beats, which were specific frequencies that I've now since embedded into a lot of the music we make. But these were frequencies that measurably with an EEG machine, which is a monitor that can monitor your brain waves. And when we're stressed out, when we're in like a high beta state and waking in more relaxed states, meditation or different things, our brain waves could be gamma, alpha, or delta brainwave states. So what I learned was that through listening to these frequencies, it can measurably change your brainwave state on an EEG machine. And that's when I was like, wow, there's a scientific kind of perspective. And that's what one of the things we're working together with the Frequency School and other research institutions, just to increase the scientific research and study so people can speak it through that language as well and start to be even more intentional. So, we can use sound in a more positive way, a healing way, and intentional.
I like that. The sound is coming from externally, but the actual healing is already within us. We're not putting our faith in something else. We're getting to a place where we can heal ourselves. So, yeah.
Yeah, I guess before we'd be like, okay, symphony, right? Or a band playing. Oh, it makes us feel good. But now it's like, oh, the right frequency is talking to your cells. It becomes clear and it makes sense. Oh, sounds has always been talking to ourselves.
Yeah.
But we've only connected from the intelligence mode where, oh, this is nice, this is good. Now, and I want to ask you, when people ask you, how does sound heal cancer?
Our body is working in a greater harmony. It's more efficient in doing its job. And a lot of times when things that they call cancer is really like, in my case, it was a blood imbalance. And because if it's producing too many of these certain types of blood cells, that's classified as a cancer. So when your body gets back in balance and your numbers are reading more what's in considered the normal range, then the cancer is gone. But a lot of that goes into how do you define what are these things. But I think that a lot of these words are more so just like frameworks that they put around something that, we see the symptoms of it, but we don't necessarily a lot of times know the causes of these things in modern science. And even in science, they give you just a medicine or a pill to kind of treat usually the symptoms, not necessarily go to the root. So a simple way to say it is when we get in harmony, our system is more efficient in regulating it and staying in balance.
It's a nice coincidence that the word harmony is also a musical term, describes the healing state of your body when everything's in harmony. So,
Yes. Well, speaking of terms, I have a question for you guys. I love the name of Dragonfly, and I'm excited to come to the festival. I'm curious, where did the name come from? And does it have any, what's the significance? I'm sure there must be some story of it.
well, dragonflies have for centuries or as long as the human race, I think, been a symbol of transformation. And if you look at the insect itself, they lay eggs in the water and its larva in the water until the day it departs from its watery world and takes flight. And so there's that symbolism of transformation, of growth, of becoming something else or becoming yourself. Our co-founder Pam is also our mother dragonfly. She was born in the year of the dragon, and so she's the spark that ignited what Dragonfly is today. And so we pay homage to her as well. But then our Dragonfly circle has grown. And I think it was you, Woody, that found another analogy in that there's a phenomenon in nature where just before a storm happens or just before it's about to rain, you'll see dragonflies all swarm together. We like to believe that it's because even the strongest creatures know that storms are easier to face when we're together.
Wow.
The ethos of our community, of our summit, of what we're doing here at Dragonfly.
I love that. Wow. I love how you talk about the dragonflies coming together because, as we say in the frequency school, we believe in collaboration over competition. Everyone comes together, we always make much more progress. And, when different people from different cultures, from different styles, different walks of life all come together, that's when we can make some waves.
I love that. I think competition really it's such an unhealthy mindset or energy to be in. Although it's something that I think is very natural for us to fall into that comparison trap in the modern age, the social media, just naturally we tend to look around and see what other people are doing almost as a measure of what we should be doing. And if we're not careful, instead of just taking inspiration, we are competing. And then we drop back into that scarcity mindset where the resources are not enough. We need to fight for these resources when it's not true at all. There's abundance of resources, an abundance of love, an abundance of energy. And so I think it's just reminding each other all the time that it's through collaboration that amazing things can happen.
Beautifully said, Cindy. And I do also want to add on, and I want to ask you and Maejor at the same time about this. The mantra or the saying in the world now on social media is you need to compete. You got to be number one. You just got to beat other people. In terms of energy, right? In terms of vibrations or frequency, I want to know, how is it that there are still some form of belief that competition, is everything?
I think we've been working on an outdated definition of success where there's only one person at the top and everyone else is left behind. It doesn't have to be at the expense of others that you become who you're meant to be or that you are able to fulfill your potential, use your gifts. We can do it side by side, collaboratively, and then the world's a better place for it. But it's not always easy. I think that, you need to also just keep checking in and balancing yourself and speaking positively to yourself, because when you're not in harmony, you tend to sometimes fall back into that, no, I gotta do more, be more. And it's like, well, not really. You don't have to prove to anybody.
Absolutely. When you threw it right to me where I was going, it goes back again to harmony. So to break it back to musical terms, or kind of like a frequency or kind of, back into that world. So when two notes are clashing, and it's just like fighting, that's called dissonance. When two are together, singing the same note, when, we're all doing the same thing, that's unison. When a group of people are doing the same. But when a group of people are singing their own individual note, I'm singing one, you're singing one, Woody's singing one, everyone's singing one, but they all work together, that's harmony. And that's the sound that when you hear it, it's beautiful, it's rich, it has layers, it has dynamics, it's a symphony, it's an orchestra. That's when everyone comes together. And that's the same thing with collaboration. Everybody has a unique part that only you can play, only you have. But then when it's all played together, it's amazing. And we all can appreciate that sound and that experience. And we all know that when we're working with a team and everybody's in harmony, when you feel like, or a relationship, and you feel like, this person, they get me, they understand where I'm at. We're working in sync together. Doesn't mean you're necessarily doing the same thing. They may be doing this, I'm doing this, but we're going at the same time.
I love the input that you guys gave about collaboration and harmony. And speaking of collaboration, I saw in your post that you're collaborating with His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, and the Frequency School. Do tell us more about that.
Yes. So it will be his 90th birthday, and we're working together on a documentary about empathy. which is in a sense connected to togetherness and connectedness because the thesis, which is based on some of his principles touch on these as well. But the thesis is that once we can understand each other and look through each other's eyes, then we don't. Then we treat each other better just naturally. As if I could see myself in you, you could see yourself in me. It makes sense. So we're really grateful to connect. And I'm excited to go to the Himalayas. I've never been, but just to see people amongst the people who are devoted and sitting there in prayer and meditation all day, like that's something that I always really, look up to. And I think it's just really inspiring to be around. So to connect and bring cultures together. So we're making a song for his 90th birthday. And, there's different versions. There's a song in a different language we're doing together, the English one. So bringing together, going back to the Dragonflies and to the collaboration, bringing together my music and some of the sound healing stuff with some of the instruments that they play there and the monks and their style and how they, want to honor their leader. It's exciting. So excited to see how it goes.
Major, we're having a heck of a year. It's only June, and I feel like I've aged so much. There's just like
Did you say age?
aged. Because it's just been nonstop. And then you talk to people who are, into reading the stars and the planetary alignments, they'll have one theory. You speak to others that, are religious, they'll have another theory. I don't know. I think I speak for all of us when I'm feeling so fatigued by the constant chaos, the upheaval, the noise, the clash, the violence that's happening since the beginning of this year, specifically this year for some reason. You can feel it. You can feel the energy. What could we be doing just on a very simple daily basis to, I don't want to say drown it out, because I feel like we have a responsibility to witness to the things that's happening, hopefully in some way or another, do something in your capacity, whatever that may be. So we're not turning a blind eye to it, but how do we maintain equilibrium, or at least just some sort of balance within ourselves, that we don't get drained, that we don't get completely jaded? And how do I even explain that to my kids? Like parents, that's a whole nother thing. What are just some very simple day-to-day practices that you would suggest for people, whether it be with music or energy, that we can do?
I think we live in a time where, and it has this yin and yang, where there's information overload. We are we are able to get information about everything. And I think you hit a key point. There are things that I believe that we'll be passionate about that we will want to make an impact on, and we should, because everybody has those things that are relevant to you that you're actually going to go do something about. Other things, I started looking at it kind of like, if you think about it like that, when they say you are what you eat. So I had to even try to clean up my own diet per se with my algorithm. I was looking at some things and I was like, noticing like, wait a minute, this is what am I taking in? And then that becomes what I think about and what I see and what I notice. And so I just had to, in some ways reprogram what I'm seeing. Some ways through physical, like actually through my algorithm, not interested in this, liking more things that are uplifting for me, liking it intentionally, trying to send this message. This is what I want to see more of. And then a lot of it is taking time, even if it's a short time every day, just at least like clear, get a reset, so that when we take it, we are responding and not reacting to all of the things. And then that can also be through, this is why a lot of the music we make with the frequency of a lot of the meditative, more ambient and kind of vibey music, to put people in that state of base where, because for a lot of people to just sit in silence and meditate or something, that's too, they're not ready. It's just too much for some people. So that's why the music is kind of just like a tool to help put you in that present state where you can just, okay, not be thinking about what happened yesterday, what's happening tomorrow. Just be right there, just listen, just vibe for a second. So even if it's just listening to some frequencies or even some people like waves, like ocean.
So your music's not necessarily just for when you're gonna do a meditation or intentional. You can just have it in the background when you're cooking or or hanging out. The benefits are still there, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely.
You're actually gonna be on our Dragonfly stage this September.
Yes.
What are we gonna expect?
Yes. So what I'm hoping, and it's kind of been a thing of this thing, is to bring some yin yang experience. So we're not gonna give away too much, but there will be both sides of the stillness, and the movement. And, this is where I think that sweet spot is because so many things in life have both that yin and the yang.
Yeah. Someone asked me like, what's Maejor going to be doing? I said, you know what? You're just going to connect. I said, no. I want to know, is he going to be talking? Is he going to be playing music? I was like, I'm going to save it.
Yeah. So for those of you who have been to our summit last
Yeah.
year, you can understand the journey. For those of you who haven't, I invite you to suspend all judgment, all expectations. We are curating a lovely buffet, let's say, of thought leadership, of energy, of spirituality in a way. I mean, and just amazing experiences that hopefully will touch you, will inspire you, with uplift you. Not everything is going to be received the same way. I think some people will resonate a bit more with, this speaker or this experience, but that's part of it, right? Please come, please enjoy, and please just go with the flow.
People ask what to bring to the Dragonfly, and I say, just a curious mindset.
It's a vibe.
It's a vibe. Hey, we're changing our taglines.
It's
Dragonfly.
It's a vibe. We are
Thank you, Maejor.
we are excited to welcome you in September.
Thank
you
you
so much for joining.
See you soon. See everyone soon at the Dragonfly.
Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone, for joining our Dragonfly Huddle this week with Maejor and with Cindy. And do please, if you see value in all these contents, please do share and do save. Thanks for watching.